welcome back to the Woman's 2 Experience Radio Show live on Facebook page, Woman's 2 Facebook page, and on Instagram Live at Levon1021. My first guest is here. She's an author, entrepreneur. She's a game changer. This is Miss Dr. Holly Sawyer. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not okay, but I'm here. So, as you know, I want to ask this question. As you probably know, what happened Wednesday with the Breonna Taylor verdict, and so I want you to know, as a black woman, what are your thoughts of that about the verdict, and what's been going on? So,
well, first and foremost, it's unfortunate what happened to the sister, and it definitely the trauma that her family has been put through. Unfortunately, I'm not surprised that justice wasn't served for her, because as we know, through our repeated history, our black lives don't matter.
Wow.
And as hard as that sounds, it's also a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. So, I was hoping something changed was different, but they were dragging out 194 days, and then they came with verdict with that, and I had my faults and I wasn't okay with it because I grew up with a black woman with my mom, and I know a lot of black women, and like, you feel bad for them, you feel sad for them, and like that we can't get justice, and like they build it like what I posted last night. They build it as more married than black women. I'm saying like that doesn't make no sense. And like now it's like during this pandemic, and every getting exposed to what's going on, and you didn't work with black girls, and she coming up behind you, and you gotta have this conversation with them. It's like we should have a conversation with them, but you gotta have this tough conversation with them about what's going on. And now we in culture now that we are more woke, and we are more upset of it. And I for me, will continue to say her name until she gets justice. I don't know what will happen, but I'm going to say her name. I'm going to make sure my kids I work with at my access center will see her name every single day. So, because it's just, it's unforgivable. It's just like, then you have the DA, he's something else, but it's just not right. It felt not right. Yeah, it's not right. And I was hopeful that something will change, that something would happen, but and then when the verdict came down, that none always got charged pretty much for murdering a young black woman and she was sleeping. You know, then it just sad. It just makes your heart feel sad for her. You know, so so I will continue to say her name. I will continue to fight for justice. As much her and much other people who have been misjustice, who falsely justice and not God doesn't deserve, whether they black, white, Spanish, whoever close you are, because it's not right. It is not right. I would continue to uplift black women as well, because I want them to know that they are valued, appreciated by me, and I'm just hoping, pray it gets better. I'm not hoping. If we take once, I just hope and pray it gets better. That's not getting worse. I hope that they miss also missed the rise in gun shootings in Philadelphia. I know you probably been aware of what's going on. You see, they deal with trauma. So then I spoke about the 16-year-old young man that was murdered Thursday night. Going for cover Burger King and walking home, trying to get home, and then I don't know what happened. He got shot in the head and murdered. So I want you to share your thoughts about what's going on about the youth violence, the trauma that our kids have been dealing with, and what advice would you give educators or people like myself on how to have these conversations with our kids about it, because it's been really going on. It's been going on for years, but the past 3 years has been really, this year, summer long, has been really uplifting. Like, it's unacceptable that 100 youth have been shot. It doesn't make no sense. So I'm going to just share your thoughts about that.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's very unsensible. The first thing, because that's a lot to unpack there.
I'm sorry.
But I think the main thing is having resources in our communities, more than just, half-baked basketball, courts. We need resources for our youth. I think our youth need to have meaningful and gainful employment. And there were programs, I know when I was a child, although I'm not from Philly, but I just remember growing up where people were able to have apprenticeship, right?
Right.
Or you were able to do different things that necessarily didn't tailor to, again, a basketball court or playing football. If you wanted to learn mechanics, somebody opened up their shop to you, or you were able to, get a skilled trade, if you will. And I know since moving to Philadelphia, to be athletes.
True.
A lot of them want to have skilled trades, but where do they go? Where do they learn that? So I think our older generation, our older community who have these types of businesses need to reach out to bring those youth under their fold.
And share those ideas.
And share the resources. So if you have, a mechanic shop, and it doesn't take much to take 3 hours out of a Saturday or a Sunday and just open it up so that some people off the street who wants to learn mechanics could come in and have that outlet. That's 3 hours on a Sunday where they're not on the street and engaging in any type of violent or criminal type of behavior. If you if it's not mechanics, if it's a barbershop, Philadelphia has a lot of barbershops. A whole lot. And they're open, 5 days a week?
Sundays.
Yes, Sunday, right, exactly. Right. So how about just having a program where you're giving back, into your community, where you are allowing, young men, again, who are coming in 13 to 19 to learn about the business. Maybe they don't want to be a barber, but they want to own a barbershop. What does that look like? Again, a couple hours just to have them off the street and engage so they can see something different. Right? So again, I think it just goes back to resources and looking at our older generations and how we can pour back and get them off the streets and engage with them so they can see something different. Because it's our community, it's our responsibility.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Right? So you may be an educating space, an educator to impart knowledge, right? So that they can, know and how to function, right? However, those of us who want to get skilled trades, where are those people in our community that can open their doors and help out our youth, right? Because again, I think it just goes back to resources. If I don't have an actual outlet, then I'm going to turn to this particular thing. What else would I do?
And I said a part of the presentation that I shared with my youth was about we had to share our gifts. We had a responsibility and obligation to share our gifts to young people that even though they may not want it, they may not receive it or do what you want to do, but they know and have the knowledge to know and see, okay, this is something I can do going forward, And Letty said, that's engaging the youth is helping get on the street. I absolutely agree. We got to engage our youth and dialogue and get them on positive things instead of being on the streets and, trying to do bodily harm to someone or something.
Yeah, we can't depend on really our government officials.
We definitely can't.
Put this in our community. Give us this, give us that. No, we need to pull our resources together because we own different types of businesses where we can take our youth under our wing and say, hey, this is how you start a business. This is how you develop this particular skill or trade. It's enough of us. It doesn't necessarily have to be, again, a barbershop or auto mechanic. It could be construction. It could be carpentry. It could be plumbing. It's a lot of us in Philadelphia that own our own businesses where we can take in a couple of, it doesn't have to be 50 or 100. If you reach 10 people within your community, that's 10 less people who are going to be not going to be facing incarceration.
Right.
Right? Or being an early, teenage father, or selling drugs, or be, a victim of, again, a crime or a stray bullet. But it does not take much. Give them, again, an apprenticeship, an internship.
Yes.
Right? And a lot of them are just looking for that. They don't have that, again, that connection, that resource. So I really think a lot of it falls back on us and taking our communities back.
Right. And also being that positive village.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we say village, but sometimes some villages are toxic and negative based on where they grew up at. Because sometimes the village can be a detriment to the kid based on our environment. So we have to be about our words and not about lip service. They will do it, but actually do go about and doing it. You know what I mean? That's what I mean, because a lot of times people talk so much, but it's like you think this won't be heard. They won't be heard. It's okay. Well, what you want to do? Okay, cool. If I don't know that, I'm sharing it. Hi, okay. She know that. Okay, maybe she can never hear me. You know what I mean? If I hey, you kidnap this person, ABC, you know. So I had a young man that I worked with. Happened graduated, he works at Frankie Dollar, Germantown, Lehigh, and he was like, "I'm trying to go to school in mechanical engineering." So I was like, "Okay," and even though it's not my field, but I knew someone that her school, I knew someone that I connect that covers that in the school. So and I gave her her number. I gave her his number, and like, I kept talking to the lady, and then he going there now. So just a little connection, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes. And if you're not in a position where you own a business, think about coaching and mentoring. Coaching is just, again, not in athletics, you know, on a football field or basketball. You could be a coach to somebody on your block, a little kid, take them on the wing that you know that doesn't have a mother or father and just needs some proper guidance. Be a mentor. You don't have to join the Boys and Girls Club or the YW or YMCA to reach our community. I'm pretty sure there are a couple of youth on your block that you could take under your wing and mentor. And some of us, especially the older generation, feel like, oh, they're just ways, they're a lost cause. No.
They're not lost.
Exactly.
They're not lost. It's guidance.
Exactly.
That's all.
And so, what would your attitude feel like if you were abandoned? What would your attitude feel like if you're trying to find your way, you don't have the guidance or the help? No, it's not, you know, your fault, but I do feel as a community, it's our responsibility.
Yeah, I agree. So, I want to, he gets really good, but I want you to tell us, who is Holly Sawyer? Who is she?
Okay, so I'm Dr. Holly Sawyer. I go by Dr. Holly. I'm a licensed therapist, and I practice in Philadelphia. I mainly work with professional Black women who have experienced microaggressions in the workplace. And so instead of them using substances to cope, I help them identify healthy ways that they can go about navigating that space. I am also an author, which you know.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting me
yes.
to the cafe.
Yes.
I'm also an author and an educator as well, but I teach in higher education.
Okay. So what made you decide to do trauma? What made you decide to be a therapist and actually to coach specifically Black women in the workforce? What made you decide to do that?
So when I started this journey years ago, there was a lack of representation when I was looking for a therapist. And I'm like, wow, I wonder how many other Black women are having the same experience, not just microaggressions in the workplace, but when they try to seek therapy for it, they are having the experience with a white therapist. And I was just like, okay, let me get into the fold. Again, reaching back into the community. And so that was one of my main motivations for it, because everybody who seeks out therapy isn't necessarily going through or has to be diagnosed with a mental disorder, right?
True.
People go to therapy for all sorts of reasons. And I wanted to hold that space for Black women that I didn't have someone to hold that space for me. And so, you know, this country is built on racism. And so microaggressions start as young as the third grade. You know, if you have a daughter, you know, who has natural hair, you're putting coconut oil in it. Or you have your child has an ethnic, name, and the teacher mysteriously can't pronounce your child's name, but, they can pronounce Russian and Irish based names, right? So we learn about microaggressions early. And so, again, I just decided to work with Black women who experience various types of microaggressions in the workplace.
Yes, indeed. Okay. So how long are you doing that? How long have you been doing that?
I've been working in that particular niche for it'll be 4 years in April.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So my next question is, what has been some of the challenges being a therapist, and what have been some of the joys of being a therapist?
Well, I'll start with the joys. Every client that I've had has allowed me to go into their vulnerable space and allow me to help them on their journey to healing. And I have been particularly blessed with that, because it's not easy opening yourself up to a therapist, let alone going to therapy. So that has just been like the biggest joy. Each and every one of my clients, they have been just amazing and a blessing to me. I think some of the struggles, and I don't know if this is mine to take alone, is that we need more of our Yeah. And so people feel like, oh my gosh, I can't go to therapy because it's expensive. There is a price point for any and every type of person, just like there is for any type of therapist. So, for example, if you're low income, there are therapists that are out there that can work with you, accept your insurance. So, therapy isn't just for the poor. It isn't just for the rich. It isn't just for people with, mental health disorders. Therapy is for everybody.
That's right.
And there's a therapist out there for everybody. You just have to find your clinical fit.
Right, and I feel therapy. I said therapy is not dissonance. It makes you get better. Because I've been in therapy most of my life. I had speech therapy from like second grade through college, and then I started taking mental health therapy about 6 years ago. Just not and then disorder, but I just had to issues I had to figure out for myself because I wanted to get better. I knew my behavior at that time would not fluctuate to who I am today. So I'm a strong opponent of therapy now, more than ever, especially amongst our schools and our kids, especially what they've been seeing over here in this past year going on. So I implore people to go to therapy, just not because you have a condition, but to get someone that looks like them, to have experience with them and work with them and just help them become healed, because we should not be bound and be bound and like stuck. You know what I mean? I feel like, because we listen to our communities and listen to ourselves. We worry about, going therapy, are you crazy, you psycho? No, you're trying to go in to get better.
That's it.
That's the only way going to get better. So,
that's it.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand that artists have negative connotation, but you didn't get better so you can heal yourself. Mm-hmm. So you know how to overcome yourself, your anxieties, your insecurities, your past, your doubts, so you can become a better individual for someone else. You cannot believe that someone's out there that somebody needs you. If we're not our best selves, we're not good to anyone.
I agree. We all have a story, and when we go and start our journey to healing, not only are we healing ourselves, like you said, we can help heal others too.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what made you decide to become an author?
So going back, wanting to basically be a part of the movement to break the stigma on going to see a therapist in the Black community, right? I said, let me create a workbook, which is called Let's Talk About Trauma. It's time to talk about trauma, where you can go into this workbook and start to do some of your own work, right? And then I give you a guideline of how to find a therapist, questions to ask a therapist when you're on that consultation call, right? Websites that you can go on to look for a therapist. If you are a college student, where do I look for a therapist? If I'm low income, where do I look for a low income therapy? So it's full of different resources and exercises to help you at least kind of get comfortable with the process and what it looks like. And when you're ready, again, I have those tools in there to help you to get started. But writing that book, it was like, I need to be a part of this movement. Like, we need to be in a space where we gotta heal ourselves. It's no more excuses, it's not, right? When we heal ourselves, again, we heal our community. So and creating that workbook was just very important, again, to be a part of that. So that was the main reason why I created that workbook.
Do you have any other books coming along?
Thank you for asking. Yes, I do. I am currently writing a book called Get Your Mind Right, Get Your Money Right. It is the basically essential guidebook for entrepreneurs who basically are needing to understand the mind frame and the mental health that's needed in order for you to kind of shift from the 9 to 5 to be an entrepreneur. I think that Black people are building businesses in droves, but a lot of times we don't have the support. We don't have the mental capacity because we have barriers unlike our other, white or other counterparts. But it can be done. And so within this book, again, I go into these areas of mental health, spiritual health, financial health, and I talk about ways that you can do it. You don't have to be, a 100% entrepreneur. Maybe you want to start something on the side. Maybe you want to invest in real estate. Whatever that thing is to build your additional stream of income, I am supporting you and giving you ways of doing it.
Do you know when it's going to be out?
Yes. The plan is the pre-launch date should be mid-October.
Oh, okay. Couple weeks.
Yes, exactly.
You know, so also, you know, you was a part of Arts Cafe 25. It was actually a unique, different event, and I usually do events, you know, but we did on Zoom and did, and in the midst of the pandemic, people were like, you can't do an event, you know. So I want you to tell us, what was your experience like with that?
First of all, again, thanks for having me. I thought that it was very unique. I had never been in a space with just all women authors, right? You see authors, but it's one thing to be in there and be in that space and just meet other people who are also writing, who are also trying to educate and share through storytelling, through writing the books. So I thought that was, you know, very unique, and I enjoyed that because, again, outside of, you know, looking on social media, how else would I have ever met these women?
True.
How else would I have been able to just exchange and really get, you know, my fingers through their pages to really understand their story? What motivated them to share what it was that they wrote?
Yeah, so like I said, I really enjoyed your presence being there in the midst of the pandemic, you know. Yeah. But especially trying to take it with being at VU when we couldn't practice, we could have more people there, but I was being mindful of that. Plus,
sure.
And plus, hopefully you come back and do another one and talk about the new book. Because that's why I'm trying to get all this together, that they'll be each share their story and build and connect. That's the most important about connecting and also keeping that, promoting black authors, also promoting their books. So hopefully, at some point one day, so I have my own building and have every person offers books in that library. Also, they can read the book. All people look like them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So always be very diverse. So that's like my intentions within the next 2 or 3 years. To have like a corner of all the offers that I had. And then so build a community center where we have the office corner, cafe corner, where all the books, all y'all books be by offers, and they just put it all on the side. The kids can read the book and read it, you know, and learn something. Because they all been just very diverse, very they can hit every other kid. So, Crushing, where people can find you on social media, also about your book.
Okay. So the best way to keep posted about the book is to follow me on social media, because I, you know, started to do a little bit of pre-launch and publicity around it. I am in 2 spaces, but same handle. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Life First Therapy LLC. Life LIFE First Therapy LLC. That's Facebook and Instagram.
And so where people can find the book?
Okay, so they'll be able to find a book. It'll be for sale on my website, which is lifefirsttherapy.com.
Okay.
Yep, it'll be on the website. It'll be there as well.
Okay. So, do you have any final words for us about in general, about being healed and getting help, getting therapy, especially in this time of chaos, uncertainty, COVID-19, racism? What advice do you have for the individual that's trying to seek help or trying to navigate through this now with the results of the Breonna Taylor verdict?
If you are in a space that you are not able to get through this emotionally and mentally alone, do not be afraid to reach out to a therapist. Mm-hmm. If you can only afford $30, $10, $50, $60, I promise you there is a therapist for you. Don't let money, lack of insurance deter you. There is a therapist out there for you. You don't have to suffer in silence. Right now, we are going through a pandemic on top of the racial injustices that continue to compound such a hard time as it is, right? And so if you're not okay, it's okay. But you don't have to go at it alone. It may be nice, you know, to go to the barbershop or beauty shop or nail shop and express yourself in an event, but that's not therapy. It may be okay to go and, you know, buy something online or, you know, turn to different things to help you. But again, that's not therapy.
That's right.
You don't have to go through this thing alone, because to be honest, we know that this will not last, but we don't know when it will be over.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
So being that we don't know that, get help now.
Yes.
Get help now.
Yeah, we had 6+ months to do that. You know, so that's what God put us up. Isolated for 6 months. Well, we didn't begin it, you know, so it's work on ourselves and that find out who we really are. Am I doing this? Am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right field? Am I should be an entrepreneur? Am I in the right space? You know. But now, believe that we should get help if you're not okay, and not just try to move along, but you gotta find someone that you can talk to that is a safe space.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You gotta be
non-judgmental,
Yes.
safe, confidential.
Yeah.
Because we're getting ready to go into the fall and winter season, where
holiday season too.
right, and it's not going to look the same as years past. And so for some people, that can be triggering for depression or anxiety, right? And so you really want to get help to help you through these months where it's going to be, daylight savings time. So to get dark early, right?
Yeah.
Like this is going to impact your mood dramatically.
Right.
So this is not the time to, sit back and think that you can just wing it, with a phone call or a substance or, retail shopping. No, you really need to see a therapist to get you through, through what's about to happen.
Yes. So I want to thank you for being on the show because you are very knowledgeable in what you do. You do it in a nice way that's like that people can relate to, can gravitate to, and hopefully you can be a guest on my show again because I think we need that mental health perspective. Trying to for advice with women and men going for especially holiday season. Because we will talk a lot about that. Because it's gonna be a lot different this year.
It is.
Especially with Mr. Gun violence, people lost so many kids, lost their son and daughter or family member gun violence. How they cope with that? Plus, with COVID, we can't really travel as much. You can't travel, but you have to be more mindful with masks and all this other stuff. So everything's not gonna be the same anymore. So we might have you come back and talk about that, tips about how for people who are grieving, how to get through that tough time, and then how to manage that because it's gonna be different. Everything's gonna be very different this year. So again, we have another guest on the show on Fake Ambition, We Green. Lady Long Poetry is on here. So Twisted Brain supported us. Leave Inspired on here as well. We want to thank you all for just watching the show. You can watch the playback as well. We have another guest coming up in about 5 minutes, Mr. Stern in Baltimore. So I want to thank Dr. Holly Sawyer for joining us. I guarantee you'll see him back on the show soon. So we'll be right back in about 5 minutes.
Thank you.